Thank you. Okay, so in the first part of the class, we developed the analysis of specific tax on the market. The purpose of imposing tax, of course, was to collect tax revenue, which we did. The government has collected $6 in tax revenue. The purpose of collecting $6 in tax revenue is to finance another policy the government wants to use to improve well-being in the other market. For example, in the baby formula market. Okay? Let's consider the following market with baby formula. Demand is given by P equals 5 minus Q half, or, which is the same thing, 5 minus 1/2 Q. Okay? Supply is given by P equals 1/2 Q. What's the vertical intercept of the supply curve? What's the vertical intercept of the supply curve? It starts at the origin. It's 0 because it's 0 plus 1/2 Q. Like this is 5 minus 2Q. The vertical intercept is 5. Here the vertical intercept is 0. Right? 0 plus 1/2 Q. So it starts at the origin. Yes?
About that, on the other one, does it always start at 2?
Why does the supply start at 2 on the vertical axis? Because it's 2 plus Q. That constant tells you the value of vertical intercept. Okay? Demand 10 minus Q starts at 10 on the vertical axis. Supply 2 plus Q starts at 2 on the vertical axis. Okay? So here demand 5 minus 1/2 Q starts at 5 on the vertical axis. Supply 1/2 Q is 0 plus 1/2 Q, so it starts at 0 or at the origin. Okay? Can you please set it up so that we can actually tape on this side of the...
That's it.
Is it good?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. So first of all, let's analyze this market with baby formula in equilibrium. And let's see what the quantity is, what the price is, and what the surpluses are. So first of all, how do we solve for equilibrium quantity? Guys, this is routine. Set the right hand sides equal to each other. 1/2 Q equals 5 minus 1/2 Q. Add 1/2 Q to both sides. How much is 1/2 Q plus 1/2 Q on the left hand side?
Q.
It's Q is equal to 5. Very good. So equilibrium quantity is 5. Let's find equilibrium price.
2.5.
Plug 5 either in supply or demand curve, you get equilibrium price of 250, correct? Equilibrium price 250. Very good. Let's now find consumer, producer, and total surplus in equilibrium. How do we measure consumer surplus?
Top triangle.
Top triangle. How tall is it?
250.
250 times
5.
5 divided by 2. How much is that?
625.
6.25. Very good. $6.25. Producer surplus, it's symmetric, so it's 250 times 5 divided by 2 is 625. Total surplus,
1250.
1250. Make sense? So equilibrium is taken care of. Now, let's analyze the impact of subsidy. Now I'm going to do it on this side of the board. I hope we're going to be able to juggle somehow the space. Very good. Before we start doing it, let's recall what it is we're about to do. We are going to use the tax revenue from the cigarette market, $6, and we're going to subsidize baby formula. Why do you think government might come up with an idea of subsidizing baby formula? For example, government decides that for families to pay $2.50 for a little container of baby formula is simply too expensive. So we're trying to help young families with babies and make baby formula more affordable. How could the government subsidize the baby formula? Well, generally speaking, the government could subsidize consumers, or the government could subsidize producers. Just like with a tax, you can impose the tax legally on consumers or on producers, you can also impose subsidy on consumers or producers. Well, what does your intuition tell you? Is it going to make any difference whether that specific subsidy is imposed on consumers or producers? It's going to make no difference. Just like with specific tax, its impact on the market was the same regardless of whether that tax was imposed on consumers or producers. Same thing with the subsidy. So it doesn't really matter whether we're subsidizing consumers or producers. So I'm suggesting let's think of the subsidy, I guess in the simplest, specific subsidy, I guess in the simplest possible way. And that is to think of it as a coupon, right? So let's suppose the government, in order to make baby formula more affordable for the families, the government actually distributes coupons. So when you walk into grocery stores around town, you can actually find coupons you can apply towards baby formula. So when you take baby formula to the checkout, they check you out, you apply the coupon, and that coupon reduces your out-of-pocket expense on the baby formula. That make sense? Very good. The government distributes these coupons. Once that coupon is used at the checkout, the grocery store now has that coupon. What does the grocery store do with that redeemed coupon?
Bill the government.
Grocery store mails that coupon to the government and claims the amount of money, right? So the government actually has to pay the store for the redeemed coupon. That's what the government is going to use the $6 for, to redeem all the coupons sent by grocery stores. That make sense? That's the subsidy. Very good. Now, in order to actually analyze the impact of the subsidy on that market, we have to know how large that subsidy is. We have to know what the value of the coupon is. Can you see the value of the coupon somewhere in this analysis of the market equilibrium? Does it say anywhere coupon value? Nowhere. So how are we supposed to know what the coupon value is going to be? Well, we don't know it. We have to find it. How are we going to find it? Let's say the value of the coupon is little s, specific subsidy. Okay? That's the number of dollars or number of cents determining the value of the coupon that you take to the cash register and you redeem it. Okay? or less. Let's suppose that after the baby formula market is subsidized, Q prime containers of baby formula are purchased. In other words, Q prime coupons are going to be redeemed. Each of those coupons is going to have value of little s. My question is, how much money does the government have to finance that subsidy? Government has $6 to spend. If the government is going to subsidize Q prime cans of baby formula with coupons, each of which is worth S dollars, how much is the government going to spend subsidizing that baby formula? $6, guys. That's all the government has. That makes sense? So the government is going to distribute Q prime coupons, each worth S dollars. And together the value of all redeemed coupons must add up to $6. Why $6? Because that's all the government has to spend subsidizing baby formula. That makes sense? And my question is, can you think of some combinations of quantity of baby formulas purchased and the value of the coupon that would actually give you $6 expenditure on that subsidy? 2 and 3, right? In other words, three $2 coupons, right? How about 6 $1 coupons? Would that also work? How about 2 $3 coupons? Would that also work? How about 1 $6 coupon? Or some other combinations possibly, right? Bless you. Now you will see that throughout the rest of this session, all the tax subsidy problems are going to have friendly numbers. You're not going to have weird numbers. So you can basically think of these as candidate combinations of value of the coupon and number of baby formulas redeemed. And we have to find out which of these should we try and impose on the market. How are we going to go about it? Yes?
So that's how it always works. So
That's how it always works. You always have to identify what the possible combinations are.
I'm asking, like, so they get to me if you want, they're able to say no if people try to get money back from the like stores?
If the government cancels that policy, then yeah. But the government is trying to design that policy so that it doesn't have to cancel anything. The government is trying to design the policy that actually exhausts those $6 and not more. Okay? And that's our goal now, is to design precisely a policy that will do the job. Now, we could use brute force and simply try them all. Try a $1 subsidy, $2 subsidy, $3 subsidy, $6 subsidy, see which one works and be done. Do we really have to do that? No. We can actually use common sense first and ask ourselves, what's the purpose of the subsidy? To make baby formula more affordable for the families, correct? But if you make baby formula more affordable for the families, what do you think? Are they going to buy more baby formula or less baby formula? More baby formula. So we know that after subsidy, quantity is going to be greater than equilibrium. If families are buying 5 baby formulas at $2.50, once they have a coupon, they're going to buy more than 5 baby formulas. Correct? Is 6 more than 5?
No. Oh, yes.
Is 3 more than 5? 2, 1. So you can easily eliminate, maybe not all, but several possibilities, right? Yes?
Can't you also eliminate any coupon that's more than the equilibrium price?
Give me an example. A coupon that would be
Well, if equilibrium price is $2.50, do you think the government's really going to issue a coupon for $6?
Oh,
So
very
it's-
good.
so it's
Exactly.
an
So
overage?
that would be kind of ridiculous,
Yeah.
right? You would immediately see that something's not right. On the other hand, someone could ask, okay, how about we consider actually coupon less than $1? For example, a coupon 50 cents. How many coupons like that could the government afford to issue for $6?
12.
12 coupons. Do you think we should try this? 12 is more than 5.
Depends on how many families they want to reach.
Well, look, this is demand. At $2.50, families are buying 5 containers of baby formula. If you give them a 50-cent coupon, they're buying it for $2.50. If you give them 50-cent coupon, are they going to buy 12 suddenly? Does that sound realistic? That would be a little bit far-fetched, right? So which of those combinations sounds like the first one we should try?
6.
1, 6, right? So let's try that one. In other words, let's try the $1 coupon. So that's what I'm gonna start with. Let's impose a specific subsidy, little s equal to $1. Okay? Specific subsidy, little s equal to $1. Now, of course, the question is, what is the impact of the specific subsidy on the market? Well, depending on whether you impose specific subsidy on consumers or producers, either demand shifts or supply shifts. But here, in our example, we're giving consumers a coupon. So we're basically giving, or we're subsidizing consumers, right? Which of the two curves do you think shifts when consumers get subsidized? Demand. Which direction do you think demand shifts when you subsidize consumers? Does the demand shift up or shift down?
Down.
You're saying down. Remember, subsidy is basically the opposite of tax.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, very good. Does it make sense? Tax, you saw, depresses demand, right? Subsidy lifts the demand. By how much when it's a $1 subsidy? By $1. So the subsidy will now start at 6.
I was thinking the decrease to the left.
And we will now have a new demand curve. We will now have a new demand curve, d prime. P equals, what's the equation of the new demand curve?
6.
6 minus
1/2
1/2 q. Exactly. Okay? Let me rewrite the old demand so it doesn't confuse us here. Let me rewrite that old demand curve down here. This is old demand, P equals 6 minus 1/2 q. And this is a new demand, D prime, 5 minus 1/2 q. And this is a new demand, 6 minus 1/2 q. Very good. So we imposed a specific subsidy of $1 on consumers. Demand shifts up by $1. Are firms still going to produce and sell 5 baby formulas?
No.
No. Now the quantity is Q prime. How are we going to find that quantity?
Set demand equal to supply.
Set the new demand, right-hand side of the new demand, equal to supply. So let's do it. 1/2 Q equals 6 minus 1/2 Q. Add half Q to both sides. What do you get on the left-hand side?
Q.
Q equals
6.
6. So, after subsidy quantity is now 6 units. 6 containers of baby formula. What is the impact of that $1 subsidy on quantity of baby formulas consumers are buying now? It increases quantity from 5 to 6. See, that's exactly what we wanted. What about that subsidy, do you think? What about that subsidy convinces shoppers, consumers, to buy more?
Because it's a lower price.
Because it makes baby formula cheaper, right? Let's see just how cheap the baby formula becomes.
$3.
Okay, so you plug that 6 into either supply or new demand. How much is half of 6? $3. Wait a second. Wasn't the subsidy supposed to make baby formula cheaper? And instead we see that price of the baby formula actually rises from $2.50 to $3. Is that why consumers end up paying more? Because baby formula is cheaper? Oh, sorry, baby formula is more expensive? Something doesn't add up here, guys. What's going on?
It's just like the taxes.
Oh, wait a second. The sticker price of the baby formula went up from $2.50 to $3. But now the consumers come to the store with a
Coupon.
$1 coupon. Is it coupon or coupon? Coupon. So now, consumers come to the store, take a $3 can of baby formula, go to the checkout, apply a $1 coupon, and pay how much out of pocket?
$2.
$2. It can also be found here. $2. Okay, so what's going on here? We impose a supply and suddenly we don't have just one equilibrium price that families pay and firms receive. Now there's two prices. What are those prices? Well, how much does a family pay? How much does a consumer pay out of pocket for a can of baby formula when they apply a $1 coupon? $2. So that is the consumer price. Correct? That's what the consumer pays. How much does a firm receive? How much do producers of baby formula receive? $3. That is the producer price. That makes sense? So does that $1 coupon make the baby formula more affordable for the families? How much does it decrease the price of baby formula for the families? By 50 cents. So is the government actually subsidizing families? Well, a little bit. Who gets the other 50 cents?
Producers.
The producer. So you see, just like the burden of the tax is shared by firms and consumers, so is the benefit of the subsidy. The government may say we're going to subsidize families, but the government ends up subsidizing producers too. That makes sense? Very good. Let's now finally find the impact of, so we see, consumer price $2, producer price $3. Let's now take a look at consumer surplus. Can you still watch this part?
Yes.
Very good. Producer surplus and total surplus after subsidy was imposed. Again, these are surpluses with prime because it's after subsidy was imposed. Now, let's start with the consumer surplus. Guys, it's getting a little bit confusing here. Way too many triangles. things are happening, how are we supposed to find consumer surplus now?
Top triangle.
Top triangle. I see at least two top triangles. I see this big top triangle. I see this smaller top triangle. And I see this large top triangle, but the bottom of the two triangles, right? So which one do you think are we going to use to measure consumer surplus?
Where the Q prime.
Exactly. The point is not to look at triangles, how high or low they are. Ask yourself, what is the quantity shoppers buy with the coupon? The quantity is 6 units. So look for a top triangle that is anchored at the quantity of 6. And suddenly you see 2 of those triangles. This top triangle or this top triangle.
Wouldn't it be this?
The bottom
Two,
one.
yeah, the bottom one.
It doesn't make any difference. They're identical.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so it really makes no difference. In other words, it's really important to identify the quantity first and then pick a triangle you want to measure. Okay, so let's take this one. How tall is it?
3.
From 3 to 6, it's 3 times
6.
6 divided by 2,
9.
$9. Consumer surplus $9. Let's pause and think. What is the impact of the subsidy on consumer surplus? In equilibrium, consumers were paying $2.50 out of pocket, bought 5 cans of baby formula, and enjoyed $6.25 in consumer surplus. Now that the consumers have access to the coupon, they are paying $2 out of pocket, buy 1 more baby formula, and their consumer surplus increases from $6.25 to $9. Do consumers benefit from that subsidy?
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, that was the purpose, right? The government wanted to help the families. Are consumers being helped by the policy? Certainly. Are consumers the only ones who are helped by the policy? Well, let's see. How do producers fare? How do we find producer surplus here? The bottom triangle. But again, it's kind of bizarre. Which triangle should we look at?
3.
The one that's anchored against the quantity 6. Can you see a bottom triangle? That's anchored right there. This big bottom triangle, right? How tall is that big bottom triangle?
3.
3 times
6.
6 divided by 2,
9.
$9. Not surprising, it's a symmetric problem. So, producer surplus is $9. How do producers feel about that subsidy? Oh, they like it tremendously. So you see, the subsidy was designed to help consumers, and it does help consumers, but it also helps producers. How is it possible? Because while the subsidy makes that baby formula more affordable for the families, it also increases the price at which firms sell it, right? Very good. Guys, does it mean that total surplus is now $18?
Government expenditure.
Because if the total surplus was simply a sum of consumer and producer surplus, then it would be $18. Total surplus would be actually larger than it was in equilibrium. In other words, we would have found a policy that actually increases total surplus, that actually makes the market more efficient when you subsidize. Well, that would then mean we can make America a much richer country if we simply subsidize every single market, right? But we know that's not the case. Total surplus is not simply a sum of those two surpluses, because we must not forget that the government subsidizes that market. In other words, those gains in consumer surplus and producer surplus are only realized at the cost, or are only realized because the government is subsidizing the market. So the question is, what is the government's subsidy expenditure? Subsidy expenditure. How much is the government spending on subsidizing that market?
$6.
Well, the government is subsidizing $1 coupons. How many of those $1 coupons? 6 $1 coupons. How much does the government spend on 6 $1 coupons? $6. Does that expenditure add to total surplus or subtract from the total surplus? It subtracts. So total surplus is now consumer surplus, $9, plus producer surplus, $9, minus subsidy expenditure of $6, which is $12. So, what is the impact of the subsidy on total surplus? It decreases total surplus by 50 cents. Very good. So once again, the policy results in an inefficiency in the baby formula market. Now, let's summarize. First of all, do you have any questions about the numbers? Do you have any questions about how any of the numbers were derived? I will post a homework assignment on Blackboard with a couple problems with tax subsidy policy. And you will be asked to basically redo exactly the steps you hear. Once I put those videos on Blackboard, you will have access to that too. So how do you go about answering those problems on the homework, eventually answering the problems on the midterm? You simply follow exactly the same steps. Okay? Those problems are going to look just like the ones you have here, except the numbers are going to be different. But the steps are identical. Does that make sense? So that's what I'll ask you to do. So, let's summarize. What have we accomplished? We have accomplished a couple of things. First of all, we introduced tax and subsidy as 2 additional policies, and we learned that just like floor, ceiling, support, these policies reduce total surplus, cause inefficiency, right? Not very surprising. Second, we found out that in contrast to floor and ceiling, where typically that policy benefited someone while hurting someone else, these policies tend to either hurt both consumers and producers or benefit both consumers and producers, right? But of course, the purpose of imposing a tax is not to make anyone happy. It is to collect tax revenue, which is exactly what the government does. And then the government uses that tax revenue to help participants in another market by subsidizing. So that's what we learned. Governments around the world, governments in this country, of course, use these kinds of policies all the time. It's quite frequent. And of course, all kinds of political reasons are used to justify or to sell these policies to the public. Typically, you know, it's fairness. Oh, it's not fair for families to pay so much for baby formula. We need to help families. And smokers, they're smoking way too much anyway, so let's just impose a tax on smokers and so on, right? In other words, fairness arguments. It's important to remember that every single time a policy like that is imposed, deadweight loss results. In other words, efficiency of the markets is eroded, right? Why is it important to keep in mind? Governments are eager to impose all kinds of policies, right? And once you get into fairness issue, Can you always find something that's not fair? You can always find something that's not fair in this world. And once the government starts solving all the unfairnesses of our everyday lives through taxation and subsequent subsidies, more and more markets are subjected to these policies, more and more markets end up with distorted market outcomes, disequilibrium market outcomes, and as a result, we are eroding efficiency of our markets. You have to be very careful, of course, because once you're eroding efficiency of the markets, economy erodes its ability to produce goods and services. And we know that that's the single most important attribute of our economy, is its efficiency, its ability to produce enormous amounts of goods and services out of given resources. That makes sense? So that's how it fits the entire narrative. Do you have any questions before I erase this? Can I erase it? All right. I like the fact that we're taping it now and really not losing record of all of this. All right, guys. That leaves us with only one concept to introduce and study. Yes, question?
Battery's going down.